Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're breaking down a new indie game that's trying to do something pretty different. It's called Plan of Tactics, and it's smashing three genres together into one massive world.
Okay, so the game's official tagline is "Your story shapes your fate." Right off the bat, that sets a really epic tone, doesn't it? It's promising that the choices you make are actually going to matter here.
So what exactly is this game? To really get what they're going for, we need to look at a new term the developers themselves came up with.
At its heart, Plan of Tactics is what they're calling an MGOG, a multi-genre online game. And listen, this isn't just about mixing a few little elements. It's a seriously bold attempt to weave completely different ways of playing into one single ongoing online world.
This whole ambitious project comes from an indie developer, Animation Elevated. And they're really open about this being an experiment. They are actively trying to make something that you can't just slap a label on, something that really pushes what an online game can be.
Okay, so how does this mashup of genres actually work when you're playing? Let's get into what you'll actually be doing in the game. The whole experience is built on three core pillars you probably recognize. You've got the large-scale command of a real-time strategy game, the personal journey of a role-playing game, and that intense, skill-based combat of a MOBA. And this is where it gets really cool. You can see how each genre has its own job to do. The RPG part is all about your character's journey. You're out there exploring, crafting, and leveling up. The RTS layer is the big picture stuff, controlling armies, fighting for territory. And then the MOBA mode, that's just a pure, focused test of your combat skills.
But it's not all just about fighting, which is great. The game world seems to have some real depth. We're talking a skill-based crafting system, building up your reputation with different factions. You can even step away from all the conflict and do some farming, or dig into the world's history by finding lore books.
So, we've got the gameplay mechanics down, but what about the world you're going to be living in? Let's talk about the factions and the whole philosophy behind its look.
Probably the first thing you'll notice about Plan of Tactics is its very distinct low-poly art style. This wasn't just a random choice, and it makes you ask the question, why go with this specific look?
And that choice really tells you everything about their design philosophy. See, the low-poly style isn't just about aesthetics. It's a super practical decision. It makes sure the game runs smoothly on a wider range of computers and keeps the action easy to follow when things get chaotic. For a small indie team, it lets them pour their time and energy into what really matters, the gameplay itself.
At the very heart of this world is a huge conflict between three totally different factions. When you start, you're going to have to decide where your loyalties lie.
First up, you have the Empire. Think of them as the side of order and discipline. They're highly trained warriors with holy resilience and some of the best combat skills you can find on the battlefield.
Next up, the Returned. Now, this is your classic undead faction, but with a cool twist. They're risen from the dead and juiced up with dark sorcery. And they've even got vampires fighting in their ranks.
And finally, there's the Guardians. These guys get their power from nature, from ancient lore, and from the ability to shapeshift. They're kind of the mystical, primal force in this world.
So if any of this has piqued your interest, you're probably asking, how can I get in and actually play it during this early access phase? Getting started is pretty straightforward. You download the launcher and create an account for free. But here's the key part. To actually play the game, you need to subscribe to early access from inside the game itself. Here are the subscription tiers they're offering right now. The developers are being really clear that these prices are just for the early access period, and they could change later as they add more content. And as you can see, the longer you subscribe, the lower the cost is per month. Now, just to help set your expectations, the devs are saying the current early access build has about 6 to 14 hours of content. So think of this as the starting point, the foundation that they're going to be building on. Okay, before you jump in, there are a few important disclaimers to keep in mind. Remember, this is a game that's still in development, and that means there's always a little bit of fine print.
So, a few really crucial things to know. The game is for adults only because of mature content. Since it's being actively developed, you should totally expect bugs and frequent updates. There's also a standard epilepsy warning and a really strict code of conduct against things like harassment and cheating.
And it's really all comes down to the kind of agreement you make with an early access game. As the player, you're basically saying, hey, I get this as an unfinished game and I'm playing at my own risk. In return, the developer keeps full control to change features, update things, or even revoke access as they keep building the game.
Which brings us to the big question, right?
A game this ambitious makes you wonder, is this whole MGOG idea the future of online gaming, or is it a beautiful but incredibly risky experiment? Well, I guess that's a story that only time can finish.